Are you extremely bored of unrealistic, extravagant, extreme, and even ridiculous routines? Indeed, I understand the internet is a skewed version of reality where the rational and sensible no longer hold value. Because of this, if you like what we do on this channel, optimizing your health, you will also have your feed infested with routines that force you to get up before the rooster, to buy a bucket to fill it with ice, or to do 15 burpees every time you get up from the chair as if you had an obsessive compulsive disorder. The good, although sad thing is, that the more extravagant routines abound, the more need there is to show realistic and sensible routines again. Routines that base their recommendations on scientific evidence and not on the personal idiosyncrasies of unique characters. If you're not Goggins, not Yados, not Huberman, and you're not Musk or Zuckerberg, why on earth do you want to imitate them all the time? I'll tell you why. Because you believe that by doing what they do or say they do, you'll achieve their results. Which is a fallacy in every sense. Today I'm showing you what is, as of today, my routine. Not with the aim for you to imitate it, far from it. But so that you can take away useful knowledge pills that you can implement in your own. But before that, you have to get into your head what I call the 3 golden rules of routines. The first rule is that more spectacle does not imply a better routine. Often the opposite is true. A good routine is often a boring routine. As mentioned earlier, there's a greater tendency to share routines or disruptive elements. People are no longer surprised that you have sautéed vegetables and blue fish for dinner, but they are surprised when you start sunbathing your anus on the beach. Remember, the public rewards the uncommon. A routine is such because it's usually unchanging. If you can't envision doing something lifelong, you won't make it a routine. For instance, for a quarter of my medical career, I made myself rise at 5 a.m. daily. I'd consume motivational videos, believing the sooner the better. I'd study until 6 or 6:30. Then I would go train for another hour, all before starting classes at 8 in the morning when I was already at the university, in class. The result? Well, look, I'm going to tell you honestly. I was a zombie all day. Didn't grasp anything in class, wasted time, and after eating, I slept for an hour and a half. My family thought I was sick. Naturally, after waking from the nap, I could do little else for the day. Wow, it didn't work. And look, I tried for a whole month with pure and hard willpower. What's the point? There's no such thing as the best routine. I'm going to show you the best routine for me. How do I know? Well, because I've perfected it over a decade and a half of making mistakes. Will it always be the same for the rest of my life? Well, not at all. Depending on the demands of life and the circumstances of each stage, it will have to vary. Is it suitable for you? I'm uncertain. It could be bad considering your situation. Rule 2. Perfection often opposes what's good. Just as the obsession with eating well can become unhealthy and turn into what is known as orthorexia, the unhealthy obsession with eating healthy, well, the same thing happens a bit with the search for the perfect routine. Look, there are people who enslave themselves to impossible schedules that they plan and schedule down to the moment of passing gas. A routine that doesn't have the slightest margin for error, that doesn't let you breathe, and that perpetually anchors you to the next move is not a healthy routine, and it's coming from someone who's been there. If your day is based on executing like a robot with no room for spontaneity, you'll end up becoming a robot. This leads us to rule 3. Aim for the adaptable strength of bamboo. Bamboo is flexible when it needs to be, but it's also solid and resilient. Where am I going with this? If being flexible for you means not having schedules, not having a routine, not having discipline in your habits, then you will never have a healthy routine. Discipline is key to optimizing your health and that of your loved ones. If on the other hand you suffer when it's New Year's Eve and you still haven't gone to bed by 12:30, then you have a very different problem. What's in the center? The bamboo's flexible rigidity is. Stick to your routine about 90% of the time, allowing for a 10% margin of error. 10% of the days you will be traveling, it will be a holiday, or you will have gone out with friends deviating from your routine. Now let's look at my boring but realistic routine to optimize my health. We start with the sleep block that goes from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Are you surprised because my routine starts at night and not in the morning? Well, indeed. I propose it this way to give maximum importance to the period of nighttime unconsciousness, to sleep. What starts well ends well, and I know that when I wake up rested, it's going to be a good day. And it will be a good day despite the setbacks or unforeseen events. I'm not going to repeat here the crucial importance of these 7 or 8 hours in your life. I'll just remind you of a key idea. The quality of your night's rest depends on the quality of your daytime actions. You should work on the quality of your rest throughout the day. Keep that in mind. Some practices I'm successfully implementing to improve the quality of mine are taping my mouth shut to prevent mouth breathing, that is, using mouth tape. I've noticed a significant difference in sleep quality when I do this, and there's evidence supporting the usefulness of doing it if you tend to breathe through your mouth. I also completely eliminate social media at night. For years, I haven't checked social media before going to bed, and I never check it in bed. Something that unfortunately is a very widespread practice. This degrades your rest quality even if you don't realize it. And beware, fatigue can make you drop dead tired, but the quality of it won't be the same if you use social networks before going to bed. Later, I'll tell you when I do check them because I select very well the time of day to do it. And I'm so thorough here because I'm very clear about the powerful stimulus they provide on many levels. I keep the room cool. Very simple in these winter months, but not so simple in summer unless you use air conditioning. The optimal temperature for falling and staying asleep is 19 to 20 degrees. That's why in the colder months, most people tend to rest better. It also ensures an average of 15,000 steps a day, a tough goal to reach. I've been able to verify how reaching this number greatly improves my night's rest. If your job or your schedule prevents you from being very active, a treadmill will solve this problem, as long as you use it, of course. We continue with the morning block, from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Without a doubt, the most important active block of the day, which I try to protect with my life. These hours are gold, and you have to defend them tooth and nail. Without this suspicion of this block of my day, I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be watching this. The elements that my morning includes are getting up around 7:30 a.m. without an alarm, one of the great advantages of being in control of your schedule. It's extremely rare for me to get up past 8 a.m. when I keep my sleep schedule stable. When something occurs, it impacts my body. Usually overtraining. If you've been doing things the same way for years and keeping a schedule, your body will respond like that, like a Swiss watch, and you're going to wake up at a very stable time. I don't check social media at this time either. This is the first key point, and one where more than 80% fail. Beginning the day with social media check. Disastrous, simply because of the distracting and demotivating effect they generate. Social media demotivates. In general, you should have much more respect for your mobile than you do. One of the biggest improvements in my routine over the last 12 months is reducing my mobile usage time by more than 50%. I recognized its adverse effect on my focus, anxiety, motivation, creativity, and acted. More on this in this video. Next, I measure my heart rate variability. I do it as soon as I get up before having coffee at the same time every day. I measure it with a chest heart rate band and this application. Heart rate variability is an excellent measure of your stress levels, we could say, although it's more complex, and I use it to help me define the demands I put on myself during the day. For example, if my heart rate variability is 8.5, that is, it's high, I won't hesitate to train twice or push myself to reach my limits or try to exceed them. If my heart rate variability on the other hand is 5.5 low, then it's usually because something is going on. Either I'm sick, not well rested, or overtraining. In that case, it's a day not to push the accelerator to the max. Then I meditate for 5-10 minutes before starting work. I've held on to this since I was 16-17 and it's greatly benefited my life. How do I do it? Well, I try to focus on my breathing for 21 slow and controlled breaths. By simplifying meditation as much as possible, I've been able to keep it up for a long time. Do I consume coffee? Yes, but not always caffeinated. As you know, you should avoid caffeine tolerance if you want to benefit from its cognitive effects. Hence, you must abstain from caffeine a few days weekly. Normally, I keep Friday, Saturday, and Sunday caffeine-free and consume it from Monday to Thursday. But this really varies with the season, projects, and demands of life. When I consume caffeine, I try not to exceed 200 milligrams per day and only allow higher doses for very specific sporting events. Before settling, I bask in natural light briefly. When schedule permits, I stroll the adjacent seashore. If not, I ride the eco-bike towards the sun for some minutes. This helps me wake up, especially in cold months, and it energizes me, prepares me for the day. No, I typically shower post-training, not in the morning. If I also showered in the morning, I would end up showering 2 or 3 times every day. Why? Well, because I usually train once or twice a day. During daily planning, I usually have a breakfast shake with creatine, beta-alanine, cocoa powder, protein milk, and various carbohydrates. On weekends, I like to change my breakfast, usually a sandwich or toast with a protein source and a coffee. Next would begin the most important period of the day, deep work, from 8:30 to 12 noon. That is about 4 hours of deep work. Deep work is a concept created by Cal Newport and refers to a time period in which you eliminate any potential distraction to enter the so-called flow state. In my case, it's easy because I'm alone at home, but I also eliminate notifications and try to schedule package deliveries to be after this time. Remember, protect these hours with your life. I start the work block with planning for the day or for the week on Mondays. Planning here is key. It's totally key. It usually lasts half an hour from Tuesday to Friday and up to an hour on Mondays. Why? Because I schedule the week's key events on Mondays. I do this planning in the Maximum Potential Focus Planner, and I've been doing it here since at least 2017 that I remember. Then I continue with the most important activity, content creation. I'm talking about writing scripts for videos, deciding on the theme of the next videos, researching the topic at hand, reading scientific articles, and generally immersing myself in the topic I'm working on. I believe it's crucial as it demands the utmost mental clarity and creativity. It's also the one that most obviously determines my progress on the platform. Approximately every 45 minutes, which I measure with an hourglass, I take exercise snacks or active breaks. It's hard to be active when your job takes place in front of a computer, but it can be achieved. Do I wear a suit and tie to work? Clearly not. I work at home and prioritize comfort. My rule is never work in pajamas but always be comfortable, which usually implies sportswear and minimalist footwear. How many breaks are there in those 4 hours? At least 4 or 5 breaks of about 5 minutes each. I neither time them nor check Instagram during them. I grab the elastic band at the Soul bike and start stretching or gaze into the distance from the terrace. Important for those of us who stare at screens for hours on end. If the work block goes by quickly, then you've done it right. It's always important to seek or approach that state of flow where productivity increases and the perception of time changes. I don't always succeed. I wish. During this deep work block, your number one enemy is distractions, or what Steven Pressfield calls resistance in his book Do the Work. Highly recommended. Minimize open tabs, leave only those you are going to use immediately, something very important. Silence your mobile, take it out of the room, schedule calls, and normalize not responding immediately to WhatsApp. Personally, after trying longer and shorter blocks, 4 hours is a period of time in which I manage to be productive most of the time. Extending it to 5 or 6 hours already reduces my productivity, and shortening it would not leave time to do what I have to do. Some believe that spending 8 hours in front of a screen equates to 8 hours of work, but this isn't true. Working is directing your thoughts and actions towards achieving a goal while staying present. If we had a reliable counter of the time we spend working and being truly productive, I'm sure most wouldn't reach 4 hours a day. I refer to those who think they work for 12 hours daily. We exist in an age of distraction and self-deception, the most brutal deception. The time to train comes quickly, which is always a cause for excitement. Why? Because it's the most fun time of the day. Living close to the CrossFit box, 15 minutes prep is ample for me. Don't be late for classes and apply discipline in all life areas. Punctuality is a habit too. Here would begin what I consider the afternoon block, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. The afternoon block begins with the intense training of the day, which usually occurs in the interval from 12 to 2 p.m. and it's usually CrossFit, although sometimes it's also running. Post-class, I typically do mobility exercises and hang out with peers at the box. Socialization is very important for someone who works from home or only socializes with coworkers with whom you usually only talk about work. If you're a solitary content creator, then it's even more important. My lunch would come around 2:30 to 3 p.m. I'd eat lunch sooner, but I typically wait for my wife to finish her job. What's for lunch? It varies. If it's time for leftovers, we have leftovers. If you don't know what it is, it's a service that cooks healthy, very good meals for you and delivers them to your home. Try it here for a good discount. And if not, we usually have something planned that we made over the weekend, or we prepare a quick salad, pasta salad, potato salad, or legume salad on the fly. Rest time is from 15 to 16 hours. At this time, I do allow myself to check social media, always with a time limit. During that hour, I might nap for no more than 30 minutes, depending on my fatigue. I strongly endorse the siesta due to its numerous health benefits. Other times, if I'm not sleepy, I usually take the opportunity to read for a while. A stack of books awaits on my bedside table, which is always promising. From 16 to 19 hours would come the second block of deep work. This second deep work block differs from the first. Unique as it's filled with less complex tasks or where creativity isn't paramount. Preparing and recording videos, podcasts, and online patient consultations, attending virtual meetings, finalizing future projects, leisurely reading academic papers, preparing online training, answering emails, and coordinating with the team to enhance processes are part of my usual work. These are more logistical and operational tasks that are usually less fun than content creation. Why are these tasks done in the afternoon? As hours pass, tiredness builds up and the mind becomes less fresh, eager, and creative. Don't forget what your job is. Mine is content creation, and that's why I leave this for the first block of deep work. From 19 to 20 hours would come depending on the day, either a second training or a walk or mobility exercises. I'm preparing for a half marathon because my 2024 goal is to increase my V2 max to 60. Watch this video if you're unsure. Some days I need to train twice. I usually try not to make it more than 1 or 2 days a week. Why? Because I'm still doing CrossFit and have no plans to stop. On days when I'm not doubling up, I take a thoughtful walk to reflect on the day, identify areas for improvement, and plan for the next day. I occasionally walk with a friend or my father when possible. My routine includes 2 regular social interactions, CrossFit and these reflective walks. As I aim to enhance my mobility, I'm working with a sports readapter and have a half-hour mobility exercise routine, which I perform at least 4 or 5 times weekly, either during this time or a bit later. The night block follows, running from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. before bedtime. This block is headed by dinner, which usually happens between 8:30 and 9 p.m., and here there should be a change of mindset. The recovery period begins. You have to take this seriously. Imagine you're a high-performance athlete, and as soon as you hear the whistle at the end of the day, recovery begins. This implies avoiding unnecessary disputes, physical exertion, and exposure to artificial light. Your attitude changes here. Your intensity and energy change. You have a more leisurely, more unrestrained, and more relaxed rhythm. You have to ritualize rest and change your mindset. As I usually call it, you've just micro-retired and you're not going to have any contact with work until the next day. Rest begins with a mental switch that many people do not activate. You have to switch from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic, from construction to repair and maintenance, from activity to rest. This attitude is developed and enhanced over time. A frequent question is which lights are needed. Try to reduce the overall ambient brightness. It's not necessary for the house to be completely dark, but try to leave only a table lamp on and not the ceiling lights. If lights are dimmable, reduce brightness to 25%. And if the lights have orange or reddish tones, even better. Look for warm lights as opposed to bright white lights. In summary, this is a regular weekday. Other days I'm out for trips, meetings, or conferences, and I do what I can. Sometimes unforeseen events occur and I also do what I can. Or I'm sick and I have to adapt the routine. Flexibility and realism, but also commitment to your goals. Those of you who have children or other responsibilities might be saying, buddy, this falls apart like a house of cards when you have kids, and I don't disagree. But in the same way, I still think that having a structured discipline and schedules is good for both parents and children, and that it is possible to reconcile family and work life, not without making many sacrifices. And finally, some of you may be surprised that with 35 hours of focused work a week, I can manage 2 YouTube channels, training companies, patients, info products, personal life, writing books, thesis, training once or twice a day, and so on. The truth is, it's possible. It can be done as long as you respect the schedules, and it can be done after having gone through a period of time when it has not been so. Think of this as a snowball, and that I'm benefiting from the compound interest of years of doing things right. Also, let's admit, from years of working every day. My present work aids my future self. I have well-refined work systems, my team knows perfectly how I work and the needs of the project, and my family respects the times and spaces. This is very important. This is essential to maintain a crucial balance without perishing in the process. Let's not fool ourselves. My life is not perfectly balanced, my work does not cease, and although I am the happiest doing what I do, I am aware that this is not and should not be for everyone. I hope my routine provided a new perspective. Use what's useful, discard what's not. Test your specific context. See you in the next video. A big hug and keep empowering.